we have another edition of Fresh Mints, this time with a guest, Will Carsola. Really excited to have him on the show today. He's the co-creator and artist of the Adult Swim show, Mr. Pickles, and Mama Named Me That Sheriff. Will has taken this unique style of art and brought it into the world of NFTs, creating some very interesting art pieces, including the Murder Heads Death Club series. So I'm really happy to have him on the show today. Let's get into it. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Will. Thanks for being here. And so most of your fans know you from Adult Swim, which is obviously so iconic to so many people. Tell me, this is really interesting to me because I love hearing about this, but how did you get involved with Adult Swim?
Well, we pitched them a couple shows. One was live action, one was animated, and they liked the animated idea. And we kind of took the idea of making an animated show and gave them some more ideas. And then one was Mr. Pickles, and built on it and built on it and built on it. And then, just built a whole town basically of characters.
A whole town of characters. I love that. And obviously heavy on animation, which, as someone that's transitioned, you transitioned from animator to NFT artist. What pushed you mainly to make that transition? If someone that's a creative, you must have seen something in that space. But what made you take that push into the NFT realm?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things. At first I was interested in NFTs as just an artist, doing the one-of-ones and things like that. But once I saw what Bored Apes were doing and a lot of these other PFP projects, it was the moment when I saw, by owning this, I can own the rights to this as a character. This could become its own cartoon, or it could become a logo to a business. And all the other utility that comes with it, it was like a light bulb went off. There's a whole new era coming. And so I wanted to be able to establish some of my own characters in that world, just the same kind of way I do with the show. It's like building blocks, from the moment that I first pitched a show to Adult Swim, you're building something, and so that's kind of what I'm trying to do with NFTs, building worlds and letting them grow.
Well, I want to talk about some of your worlds and your projects because you have a very, very interesting style, man. It's silly, but also terrifying at the same time. Your Murder Head Death Club project. There's a lot of interesting characters there. Can you tell me what kind of substances you were on when you were thinking about that stuff? Did something happen to you that inspired this? Because it's so interesting, man. Look at that right there. Oh my God.
I've been drawing characters like this since I was a kid, really, just kind of drawing my teachers to look funny in middle school to laugh. I was a bit of a shy kid, so that's how I interacted with people, maybe. I'm realizing that as I'm older. Even as a bartender, I was drawing people sitting at my bar, more than I was serving drinks. So, so maybe that's why some of the characters look a little messed up as well.
I wasn't sure if that that makes sense, but I wasn't sure if there was also some other things that inspired this, because I'm just like, my God, this guy must have had a great time drawing these characters because they're so interesting. I'm not gonna lie, it's a perfect blend of silly and terrifying, and I'm like, I don't know how you think of this stuff, but that's really cool.
A lot of my kind of monstrous or more violent looking characters, which there's some in the Murderhead Death Club, and then there's some in Moon Trash, and a little bit in Mr. Pickles, are inspired by a ghost experience I had when I was a kid.
Okay.
At least
you got to tell me about this one.
But yeah, I was 5 years old, and we lived in this old house, and in the middle of the night there was this green floating head, in the corner, right up next to the ceiling, looking down at me and just saying the same thing over and over and over in another language. And it was as green as that Mr. Pickles sign.
My God.
That's going to give me nightmares.
Animation right there. Yeah, but just green, all green. And it was just saying something over and over and over. I don't know what language it was or what it was saying, but I was terrified.
Did you freak out? Yeah, I was going to say, did you freak out? Because if that happened to me at 5 years old, I'd be running to my parents or doing something. I'd be freaking out.
Yeah, I was terrified for sure.
Speaking of NFTs, and you've built a lot of characters in NFTs now. Do you think that like NFTs are just going to be like an art for artists, drawings, 3D sculptures, or do you think that NFTs could also play a big role in, show distribution? I mean, you mentioned about owning the rights. How can people incorporate NFTs into maybe a show, maybe kind of like how Bored Apes is doing? Do you think that's going to happen more often?
I do, yeah. I mean, I think we're obviously still early in the space. I think it's more about how is that going to happen,
Right.
But it is interesting that you could potentially have a show where the characters are owned by the people who hold the NFTs. So that was something that interested me right away as well. How that happens, I'm not sure, but I think it's starting to happen a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
that's very true. I think we're just getting started when it comes to that front. And the part that I was very curious about, because I have no artistic skills as far as drawings or animating. Do you think that NFTs is just reserved for that, or like, do you think that there's other ways you can incorporate, especially with like written words, because you're also a writer? Do you think that someone that uses words only can create an NFT, and how would they do that, or what kind of NFT would that be?
I think that so much is going to be an NFT going forward. I mean, I think that the deed to your house is going to be an NFT, the title to your car. I mean, to me, that's a long ways away from art. So like, who knows what the middle is, between art and the title to your car.
Right.
But I would kind of at this point prefer to have the title to my car, the deed to my house as an NFT, because it's almost, it makes more sense having it on the blockchain. But yeah, I mean, I think that words, poems, music, everything, a lot of things should be NFTs in the future. Yeah.
That gives me hope as someone who can write, but I can't draw or anything. So hopefully one day I get a chance to mint some of my own NFTs with written words.
Yeah, man,
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I want to transition because I'm curious. We talked a lot about your animation and your art, but you recently did a live action film called Dead Till Death. So what inspired you to take on that new project?
Well, I've been working with Liquid Death for a long time. I even did the logo, the skull
Oh, wow.
on the can. So when the possibility of doing a movie with them came up, I had to do it. It was, I grew up watching the old like slasher movies. Friday the 13th is the movie that really kind of inspired me and scared the hell out of me as a kid. So and this film was about liquid death, cans of liquid death, killing people in the woods. So I tried to channel some of my favorite movies, and put it in there. Yeah, but it's a crazy film for sure.
Make sure everyone to check that film out. And a two-part question, lastly, Will, is one, what's next on the horizon for you? And two, where can people follow you, stay connected, and tap into what you're doing?
Yeah, so I'm doing these two NFT projects right now: Murderhead Death Club with Liquid Death, and we have Moon Trash coming out soon. I'm still drawing right here, actually.
Nice.
Moon Trash. That should be out later this year. So I'm focusing on those two projects mostly right now. And yeah, we'll kind of see what happens, see where they go. It's real exciting to me. I'm having a lot of fun building these characters and establishing these worlds. But yeah, my Instagram is Will Carsola, at Will Carsola, and Twitter is at Will Carsola as well. That's where you can find me.
Awesome. Will, thank you so much for being on the show today, man. That's very, very insightful, and I can't wait to see how your next projects roll out. It looks like really interesting.
Thanks so much.
All right, man.
Thank
Thanks.
you, Will.
See you.
Hey y'all, thanks for watching. Make sure you tune in every day. Also hit that like, subscribe, and notification buttons. We'll see you tomorrow.